Welcome to Be Now for Wednesday, October 3rd. This is a special edition for Be Now. We couldn't cover it yesterday because Faz ran over something in the road that he wasn't looking at and punctured his tire, and his EV vehicle fell apart. So joining me now is Fazell.
Yeah, blame me, Don.
Did you get your tires all
I did. If anybody's curious, I did get my tires fixed. I posted it on Twitter. You can check out my Twitter page.
Right.
You can see I got 4 brand new wheel rims for the price.
All right, so let me just do a recap. Basically, we because of Faz and his bad driving skills, we couldn't get the footage that was on yesterday when we were talking about the Gurpreet Dhillon situation and the hush money at City Hall. So we couldn't get the footage and edit in time, so we decided that we would do that today because it's an important topic if you live in Brampton and you're a taxpayer in Brampton, because the money apparently used for that NDA agreement and the hush money basically is taxpayers' dollars. So we have a couple of videos leading off. We have one of Patrick talking about the situation. Rowena Santos is councillor for Ward 1 and 5. And then we have a business owner in the downtown core, Andrea Barrett. So what we're going to do is we're going to lead off with what Patrick had said, because I haven't seen too much. The Toronto media only comes out here when there's a crash or a killing or something like that, or a big situation. But I haven't seen the full release of Patrick, and we have it. So we're going to play it right now.
Okay, here we go.
So what I can share today is that on July 18th, a city whistleblower, an employee of the city of Brampton, spoke to me out of concern that there was hush payments that were made in regards to Councillor Dhillon and the allegations of sexual harassment, where he faced a suspension from the City Integrity Commissioner. That was on July 18th. On July 25th, Graham Frist from our local paper, the Brampton Guardian, reached out to me similarly about a story that he was working on about allegations of hush payments in regards to the Gurpreet Dhillon scandal. I was not aware of any payments, and I was shocked that it was even possible. I immediately reached out to the city clerk and the city CEO to find out what had happened, and I wanted an immediate briefing. We had a briefing with the city clerk and the city CEO, and what we were informed at the time was that there was a settlement in regards to these allegations, and that according to the city CEO, there over $60,000 of taxpayer funds were involved. I cannot speak to the personal funds that were involved by the councillor as part of the settlement, and my concern is taxpayer funds. And the fact that over $60,000 in taxpayer funds were used without approval from City Council, for me, is absolutely wrong, and I'm furious about it. City funds should never be used in this manner. One of the first questions we asked in the briefing for the councillors that were in attendance was, did insurance cover this, or was it taxpayer dollars? And we were informed it was, the insurance did not cover this settlement. What I'm going to propose is that in the city of Brampton, that hush payments should be banned. I'll be putting forward a motion at a council meeting later this week that hush payments should never be allowed, there should be no compensation, no city taxpayer dollars ever used for such payments. An NDA was signed. I'm going to ask the city be released from the NDA so that we can have the full details on these funds. I want to state we had no awareness about the payment, and the fact that we're being told that there's an NDA, that we're not able to speak to this, we feel it offensive that we're being told that the city signed an NDA as part of an agreement with this councillor that we're not even able to speak to. So we're going to ask for the NDA the city to release its obligations for the NDA and to ban this practice. I'm going to ask Councillor Santos to say a few words. She's been leading.
Okay, so that was a statement yesterday talking about the hush payments, apparently $60,000 total. I know you gave a breakdown yesterday, Faz. What was it? Just a quick recap of that.
It was $18,000, I believe, to the victim, $40,000 in costs to, I guess, for lawyers, and then $3,000 for something else. I can't remember what it was.
All right. So the main thing here is it's taxpayers' money. I mean, if you're a big organization or corporation, you have lawyers on staff. I know the city has been sued several times, and it's part of the DNOs or directors, basically, of a corporation that they're covered under these situations. But apparently, nobody wanted this to go through the lawyers department for some reason, right? They didn't want to be out there. They didn't want to shine the spotlight on Gurpreet Dhillon. So it was a backroom deal, apparently. And I guess on Friday, we'll find out what's going on a little bit more. But in the meantime, we're going to hear from Councillor Rowena Santos, who is Regional Councillor 1 and 5.
Well, before we get to that, Don, I just want to let the residents know that part of the media briefing yesterday, they released a statement of claim that was provided by the victim or the plaintiff, who they're referring to as Jane Doe, and it's against Gurpreet Dhillon and the corporation of the city of Brampton. And the total lawsuit amount, the dollar figure for both the councillor and the city, was over $2 million. So, we were having the conversation. I agree, taxpayer money should not be used to cover this. But if the city paid $18,000 and they were being sued for $2 million, I can maybe understand why city lawyers kind of did it. What I can't understand is why the rest of council wasn't informed privately in camera about this deal.
Well, expanding that a little bit further, Faz, the thing is that bureaucrats are not, they're not the ones that should be making those decisions. And is this the first time or is this the 10th time? No one knows, right? It's like, who's making that decision? As a bureaucrat, you're not up for re-election. You're sitting there in your cushy job for 20, 25 years. You get your gold ring pension and you're off, right? So it's like you're using taxpayers' money for hush money for a sexual harassment charge from Jane Doe and Gurpreet Dhillon. And you're saying, yeah, it looks better for the corporation if we do it this way. And, let's do it this way and we won't tell council. Well, one council member knew because there was an NDA and he signed off on it. So Gurpreet Dhillon knew that there was $60,000 worth of taxpayers' money being involved in this situation, right?
Yeah. I want to put this comment up because I see it a lot on social media. Anthony Baker saying, funny how the mayor somehow thinks that anonymous sources are now to be believed when he had the complete opposite opinion when it was allegations against him. So I'm not sure what allegations Anthony is referring to against the mayor. I don't know if it's way back to his provincial
He was probably
days.
talking about the CTV allegation in regards to the, what was it? It wasn't even a sexual assault. Basically,
Right.
It was a situation with a girl when she was, over the age of 18, and it was.
Well, regardless of what it is,
Exactly.
this duality, it doesn't make sense to me, right? We're talking about one case now. You can have your opinions about the mayor, about whatever you want. You can do that elsewhere, but let's take this seriously.
Well, number one, it's not an anonymous source. This situation has been going on for 2 years. It was corroborated by Badar Shamin from the Brampton Board of Trade, who was on that Turkish mission at the same time that Gurpreet Dhillon went over there. The victim actually contacted Badar Shamin when it happened and wanted to, find out what could be done.
Like that.
It's
I don't even know why we need to
list
just
of stuff
yeah.
that's not an allegation. It's basically it's truth at this point in time.
And so there's two things, because I think the CP24 reporter was asking it. How do we know this is true, right? And there was no clarity in what are you referring to as truth? Is it that the sexual harassment? Right. I'm going to call it sexual assault. It actually went as far in the statement of claim to call it rape.
And we'll go through some of those points after on the statement, right? So
yeah. So there's that, which the Integrity Commissioner has already ruled that yes, something serious happened. Then the other point is, well, were payments made by the city of Brampton unbeknownst to council, right? And the answer to that is yes. Now, if you want me to prove that, I can prove that. But that the mayor said he had a conversation with the CAO, and then they're going to have a further conversation if there's a meeting on Friday. Like, what is it? What is the anonymous allegation we're talking about here?
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, we watch council meetings and we see what's on the agenda on a regular basis, and nowhere in the last 2 years or the year have we seen on the agenda something like this in regards to payment, unless it was an in camera and we don't know about it. But I guarantee if it was in camera, it would have came out.
Yeah. So let's go to that interview
right.
now with Councillor. Oh, not the interview. The statement by Councillor Santos.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. As now the only woman on council, I've been advocating for women's equality and advocating to end violence against women well before becoming elected. I've been working with the mayor and some of my colleagues and women's groups across the entire city and region since the start of this term to take action against gender-based violence and end violence against women. For example, the It's Not Okay and Break the Silence campaigns over the course of 3 years. I'm absolutely furious that we did not know about this covert settlement used to silence a woman's voice. What we are now discovering is the complete opposite of the intentions of the It's Not Okay and Break the Silence message. By virtue of me speaking out today, I know others will continue targeting me to silence my voice, but I will speak up. The actions transcribed and found by the Integrity Commissioner over 2 years ago were absolutely unacceptable. It is public, and anyone can read the report on the council agenda from August 5th, 2020. Council voted unanimously to prescribe the maximum sanction and called for Councillor Dhillon to resign. One member of council said last month that we can do whatever we want, good or bad. No, you cannot do whatever you want, good or bad, and this was very bad. In fact, Charmaine Williams, the then councillor and now Associate Minister of Women's Issues, gave a very long speech on that day, August 5th, 2020, asking for Gurpreet Dhillon to resign 74 times, the exact number of times that the victim said no. We even required that the forfeited salary from Gurpreet Dhillon's suspension be donated to a women's group. We now believe instead, money was being used to silence a woman who was sexually harassed. The idea that possibly only one member of council, and it is unclear if others knew, that city funds were being used as hush money, that we had no say, despite calling for his resignation, is shameful. As a woman's advocate, I want to know exactly what happened, and we need to break the silence. I support Mayor Brown's position that we should know exactly what happened with this hush money, why we were not informed, while other members of council perhaps knew, and why women's voices are being silenced behind our backs despite very public efforts to end violence against women. Thank you.
So I think you can tell by her voice, by the quiver in her voice, that she wasn't. This is not just a media statement. She was genuinely angry.
Well, Rowena Santos, as you know and I know, has been an advocate for women's rights. I mean, for a long time. Before she ran, she was helping Andrew Horvath in the NDP, and you know, there's a long history of that. And the thing is, you know, we interviewed her after I think one of our people interviewed her after, talking about how hard it was for women running in politics, and whether it be for provincial politics or municipal politics, and some of the things that they go through and what happens at the door and everything else going forward. So we know it, and I'm sure Rowena knows it. I'm a man, she's a woman. She's every day she's experienced it. We've seen that on council with Pat Fortini basically haranguing her on a regular basis. It's not something that we take a look at it and say, no, this is not true. I think there's a lot of stuff that has to be flushed out here. Council is great when they're wearing the Stop Bullying shirts and promoting this and promoting that. But you know what? Actions speak louder than words. And it's if you're gonna walk the walk, you better talk the talk at the same time.
Okay. All right. So now we have a third video, and this is from Andrea Barrett. Andrea is a local resident. She's a small business owner. And I'm not sure why Andrea was there specifically her, other than I think she's representing women and small business owners. And the victim in this case, the plaintiff, was a small business owner who went to Turkey on that trade mission. Probably somebody very similar to Andrea, and she could probably relate to what the position. And we'll get into the statement of claim because there's a little more information that we didn't know about through the Integrity Commissioner. So let's listen to Andrea now.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Barrett, and I'm a Brampton resident, a business owner, and a Brampton taxpayer. On behalf of the 350,000 women who live in Brampton, I am ashamed that even 1 penny of taxpayers' money was used to subsidize Councillor Gurpreet Dhillon's settlement with his victim. 4 years ago, Gurpreet Dhillon swore an oath in front of this community, and he broke that oath when he sexually harassed his victim in that hotel room in Istanbul. For legal reasons, no one will say that Mr. Dhillon sexually assaulted his victim because it has not been tried in the court of law. But if you only have to read the Integrity Commissioner's report, that's all you have to do. Just read it. It was made public exactly 2 years ago today, and you will understand that the victim had to say no 74 times before he put her down, took his hand from underneath her skirt, and left her hotel room. If you read it, you will be as angry as I am today. The report was released 730 days ago, and Mr. Dhillon still collects a paycheck from Brampton taxpayers. He is not a Hockey Canada player, but Mr. Dhillon benefits from the same system that silences victims and allows sexual predators to go unpunished. The victim has been silenced by a non-disclosure agreement. The woman who investigated Mr. Dhillon's actions has been fired by Mr. Dhillon and his 5 enablers on City Council. Mr. Dhillon, on the other hand, walks freely throughout City Hall, goes to social events, and votes on policies that affect women and children in Brampton and Peel Region. There are now 83 days until the next municipal election. I want women voters to remember what Mr. Dhillon did and remember his 4 enablers on City Council who orchestrated the firing of the Integrity Commissioner because she had the audacity to do her job. Councillors Bowman, Williams, Medeiros, and Fortini, shame on you. You are complicit in Mr. Dhillon's actions because you have sent a message to all future Integrity Commissioners that if you do your job and investigate sexual harassment by any City Councillor, we'll fire you. I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor, and all members of City Council to look within your hearts and to do the right thing. I'm asking women voters of Brampton and their allies not to let this sexual predator or his enablers get away with it. Just a reminder, his victim said no 74 times. Thank you.
Wow, powerful.
Absolutely, 100%. I thought that was a good speech, right down to the core. It was heartfelt, it was direct, and it was basically stating all the facts. There was nothing there that was not factual at all. So yes, that was a good speech.
And I know that's the first time you saw that clip, Don, and I know exactly what's going through your mind because the same thing was going through mine. What about all the women in my life? If you know, that's how they feel, that's what they experience.
Well, we know that, right? We know, like, you know, I know my wife, what she's experienced. I know, you know, my sisters and stuff like that. So I only hear it from them. I haven't experienced, but I know that it's, you know, it's a totally different situation on a regular basis. And as we said before, not only was Gurpreet there, but he introduced himself as the counselor as well, right? So he's operating from a position of power, which someone who goes through this, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's the same MO on a regular basis. So I'm a counselor, blah, 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 blah. And as Martin Medeiros says, we can do whatever we want. Well, apparently, no, you cannot do that. If your God complex is so far reaching across social ethic and moral standards, then I think you're in the wrong job.
And you know, when you read the statement of claim, and I'll try to get, I don't know, we'll
Well,
try to get electronic version.
let's read some of the things in the statement of claim.
But what you were
that
saying
was
there
talking
is
about.
because you have to preface his name with counselor, it elevates you in stature and in a level of trust that you should have in that person.
Absolutely.
And the victim in this case, you know, if you read the statement of claim, you know, they don't want to be rude to the person. They, you know, this is a counselor. Nothing. There could be no bad intentions. So it's just terrible. So there is a lot in here, and what we're going to do is create a slide, a social media slide, and put it out, because we are not going to let this die. We're going all the way up to election day, and
well, I don't think it should, because you know this is not the type of person that should be sitting in the seat, as the woman said, as Andrea said, making decisions about women and children on the not only on the municipal level, but at the regional level as well. He's a regional councillor, you know, so it's like, is this the person that you want to represent Ward 9 and 10 and talking about your municipal and regional affairs? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And if it is, then you know what? It's a warped system.
And for organizations to be inviting this guy out, or for anybody to have to be forced to take a picture beside him.
Yeah,
so let's read some of it.
Yeah,
let's read some of
the stuff that basically that the Integrity Commissioner report didn't say, but in this report have come out. So let's read some of the more.
Okay.
You know.
So it says his size and physical strength to overpower, forcibly confine, and sexually brutalize the plaintiff over the space of nearly a full hour, all the while ignoring the plaintiff's near 100 terrified pleas to stop. And it's been reported there was 74 pleas. That was what the victim was able to record.
Right.
There was another, I guess, over 26 times prior to that. She didn't, you know, she basically told him to stop. So there's a few highlighted areas. I didn't highlight it, actually. We got this highlighted. So there's more than what's highlighted. Okay. And some of this is not for kids. So as the plaintiff lay on the ground weeping and crying to herself, Dhillon walked over to the seating area near the plaintiff's suite. He began to close all the curtains. Fearing that if the curtains were closed, Dhillon could continue raping and perhaps even killing her, the plaintiff pulled Dhillon's hands from the curtains. She then ran to open all the curtains again. Dhillon laughed at her, pushed her aside, and closed them again. There's another one. Dhillon released the plaintiff after numerous slaps and briefly turned away from her. It appeared to the plaintiff as if he was trying to remove his penis from his pants and that he was masturbating himself.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, like this stuff never came out for the Integrity Commissioner. This is just released yesterday at the press conference, and it was given to all the media. I haven't seen where any of the media has reported this. So for me, it's the first time hearing it, because you didn't get a chance to send it to me yesterday. So
yeah, there's some that's that we've heard before, so I'm going to skip through it. And there's some that's not highlighted, and I don't know why, and I want to talk about it. It's not highlighted. So in the Integrity Commissioner report, they basically don't mention that her clothes was removed. In the statement of claim, the plaintiff says that her skirt and her underwear were removed, and the Gurpreet Dhillon's hands was all over her, basically. And that was not an Integrity Commissioner report. So, like, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's lots of smoke here. In fact, I see fire, right? There's
no kidding.
There's nothing here that you can dispute, other than there's no point in disputing it, right?
Well,
once you cross a line, you've gone too far.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And why this person should be sitting at a council seat, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable that the Municipal Act is not strong enough to have someone like this basically removed, right? To me, it's unbelievable.
And so one of the other things that I read in here is, obviously, if the victim had stayed in Turkey and filed charges, I think there was a plan for her to go to the ministry. It doesn't say what ministry. then I think the end result with that
Ministry of
charges
Justice, probably.
charges would have been filed there. But the victim was so distraught, she just wanted to get back home, not realizing, I'm assuming, that once you get back home, it's much harder to file a criminal case because the Peel Police it's out of their jurisdiction.
Well, it's out of their jurisdiction. That was discussed at the very beginning. If she had filed a complaint in Turkey at the time, then I think it could be transferred. But she didn't. She, like you said, she just wanted to get the hell out of there, Turkey. And you know what? It's a situation that, you know what, a lot of women encounter, right? From we're talking about. We did a program about 4 years ago when we were talking to I think it was one of the organizations in Brampton that deals with sexual assault. And it was something along the lines of, we might bring that show up again and repost it. But it was talking about 90% of women experience sexual assault sometimes in their lifetime, which is an outstanding figure.
Yeah. Outstanding in a negative way, right?
Well, actually, yeah, it's, you know, but this is a situation that 90% encounter this, but I think the rate that's reported to the police is something in the single digits or the double digits. It's like 10,
Yeah,
12%.
and then when you do report to police, you're not believed, or it's an uphill battle.
Absolutely.
And then there's a term for it. I've already forgotten the term. Right? I'm a man, so obviously it doesn't affect me. I don't care. Well, I do
it's,
care,
you know,
but I'm a
you
man.
gotta-
I don't have to care. As a woman, you have to, right?
Yeah, and you get dragged through the court, and then your name and blah 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 blah. They go, you know, and I'm going to dig that. I know we have that video on our website, bramptonfocus.ca. I know it's in there. I think it was Hope 24/7 that we were doing the interview with in regards to that. But I'll bring that up and repost it on our page and on Twitter as well, because you know what, that statistic is still probably valid today. And in this regard, in this case, it's probably more valid.
And I think with both the women who were on video earlier were saying, it's like when you silence women, it encourages this to continue,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. You know,
So-
and you know, if you're a situation, it's like, you know, would you want to be in a room alone with this counselor at any point in time? I don't think so.
Yeah. So before we go, we've already almost hit half an hour already done. I want to talk to everybody about the nohushmoney.ca website. I know a couple minutes ago there was a problem because I made a mistake on. I posted the video and I forgot to publish it, and so it looked like there was nothing there. Anyways, we've already had, I'm not going to say a good response, maybe 10 or 20 women from the show yesterday already go. I think Dodie, I think we saw you. Filled it in short a few seconds ago. So fantastic. This is a legitimate site. All the information you need is there. I created it. I'm not going to do anything with your contact information. You're going to have to trust me on that. But we need to make sure it's a legitimate contact database. Not that you're going to be contacted, but if it's audited or whatever, I want this to be in the thousands, if not tens of thousands. Because I want to be an ally here. I have a skill set here. I want to utilize it. So I'm posting as much as I can whenever I can. The big thing we want you to do is click the sign the petition button. And all we're asking for is your first name, last name. And I've already seen some people put first initials, which is fine. Because your first name, last name, we might actually publish that information. I'm still thinking about it. This is the first petition I've ever done. So if you want to just put your initial, that's fine. We're not going to share your email, your postal code, or your mobile phone. But this is just if we need to contact you, let you know, and this might be more information coming. And the postal code is actually quite interesting because I'm hoping a lot of people who are doing this are coming from wards 9 and 10, which is Gurpreet Dhillon's ward that he's a counselor for. So, and you can see there it's protected by reCAPTCHA, so that stops a lot of spam from coming in. So hopefully you don't get flagged by that, but it's pretty good. So we only want legitimate information here. I know it's, if you don't type in the URL right, you might go to a weird site, but I'm going to try to do a better job so that when you sign up here, it's easy to share it with other people.
All right. Well, there you go. So we will find out on Friday what happens with the mayor's petition. Obviously, this is a situation that if you're a taxpayer in Brampton, I mean, I'm outraged my money is being used for this. And if it's if this is not the first time, I want to know how far back this is going. This has gone, and is this a standard operating procedure at City Hall in regards to stuff like this?
Yeah. All right, Don. Serious show today.
Yeah, serious show today, and we're going to have a serious show probably next Tuesday, depending on what happens on Friday. But that's just the way it is. I think it's it's a situation that I think is serious enough to warrant further coverage on a regular basis. I know the Toronto media just does a quick blurb and then they're off, to bug John Tory or Doug Ford or whatever. But for people who live in Brampton, there's not enough investigative reporter that really dig down to this stuff. Like, we try and do as much as we can on a regular basis, but yeah, this is something that's a serious problem.
And I hope the local news, Brampton Guardian. I know I slag them all the time, but this is the news story people want you to cover. So cover it in depth, get to the details. There's no politics here, right? This is just wrong.
They're wrong on every level. So, all right. So we'll find out what happens on Friday, Faz, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday.